Welcome to First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. I'm your host, James Gardner, certified athletic therapist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, yoga instructor, human being. This platform, for the pros, by the pros, anybody in the performance space, and beyond. Welcome here to share in the stories of professionals, experiences, journeys, learning along the way. It's a platform to connect, to network, and to be a part of a community that cares, with conversations that matter, experiences that resonate, and generate ideas, thought-provoking, organic dialogue, passionate pros. Brought to you as always by First Star Therapy, Mobility Tape, Epic, and Benchmark Athletics, in association with the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association. It's First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being a part of it.
Welcome to the SPORTi Podcast with your hosts Pam, Vanessa, and Laura, where we share information and experiences as parents with kids competing in youth sport. We're going to chat with experts who share tips, tricks, and key insights to help us together on this journey. So let's huddle up and get talking. Pam here, and in today's episode, we dive deep into the specialized sports schools with the leadership team from Everest Academy. It's a private sports-focused school in Vaughan, Ontario. Everest offers a unique academic and athletic model, integrating high-level sports training with a structured educational program for students from grades 4 to 12. We'll explore what sets Everest apart from other school models, the public, the private, and sports academies, including their commitment to holistic athlete development, balancing academics with elite-level training, and preparing students for success both on and off the ice or field. We'll also hear from their team of experienced professionals, including former pro athletes, strength and conditioning coaches, athletic therapists, who provide a well-rounded support system. If you're a parent wondering how to best support your child, this is a really good episode to get a further understanding of another option of a school. So let's get talking and start with introductions.
Hi, I'm Robert Barbieri. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, student athlete preparedness here at Everest Academy. My background, I played 16 years professional rugby over in Europe, one with also the Italian national team. And I moved back here after my career, and I've been working here now at Everest Academy for 4 years, since 2021.
Great. Nice to meet you.
I'm Julie McDonald. I'm an athletic therapist, a massage therapist, kinesiologist. My role is to support the therapy side of things through athletic therapy, massage therapy as well. And I also lead our integrative systems curriculum. So we work on sports vision training. We work on integrating mental health, and we have another colleague that helps with mental health as well. Coaching, we kind of all wear a lot of hats here. So I love the space because we can sort of apply all of our academic and, personal backgrounds as athletes and bring as many resources as possible to the athletes here.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm James Gardner. I'm a certified athletic therapist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, and I guess by title, director of S&C SAP, which are student athlete preparedness here at Everest Academy. Lots of hats. Oversee the direct therapy of our U18 hockey prep team, which is new this year, and then kind of learn from these two every day and the other two staff members that aren't currently on board. One's on the other side of the wall with a couple professional athletes, just getting them ready for their season. His name's Matthew Arnone. He's an ex-professional soccer player and a strength and conditioning specialist with a nice woven background of, exploring mindfulness and exploring his own career and his own pathway that way. So lots of different ways to connect with the athletes. And then our last member of staff who's not on site today is Debbie Wilkes, and she's a registered social worker. So all of that said, lots of bodies, lots of distinctions professionally, but more than anything, I think a lot of experience that we can weave into a well-rounded developmental focus for youth and for youth sport and for those student athletes that are here at Everest.
That's excellent. Thank you. So, for our listeners who may not be familiar with how it all works, can you give us an overview of what the Everest Academy is?
Yeah, it's a grade 4 to grade 12 school with an opportunity for a gap year, which is mostly our prep lacrosse guys will use a gap year before they go to school in the States after grade 12. It's a sports academy school, so I mean we follow the Ontario curriculum guidelines from an education standpoint. I won't speak to that because we're on the realm of sort of the sport and development side, but all the curricular elements are met through our staff, through the guys, or through the lens of physical education. So our grade 4 to grade 8 students see us 2.5 times a week in the gym setting, and we're sort of setting the groundwork for movement literacy. What is movement? What is functional movement? What do you need in sport? And to be quite honest, like undoing some of the misguided information that's out there for 9 and 10-year-olds and what they quote unquote need in specific sports and in specific spaces. And then our high schoolers, we have 5 times a week in the gym, and that's a bit of a mishmash of kids that are playing in the GTHL or the OMHA or on the women's side and in their leagues where they may train outside of here. So we're navigating those bits and pieces of overload, both on the ice, off the ice, training in the gym. What information are they getting relevant to training? So trying to supplement that from a training principles, variation in training, and what kind of knowledge are you taking away now to support yourself, but more importantly, like into the future, wherever you may go, there's a lot of valuable lessons that we feel are embedded in the gym space beyond just putting weight on the bar or having a therapist like Julie or Debbie. No one here is here with a magic wand. Everybody here is to educate, I think, in the name of self-agency, so that our athletes can be able to advocate for themselves moving forward, understand what is good information, what do I actually need, what's bogus or what may not work for me, and sort of figure themselves out through this path and this journey and the wealth of resources that are in our space.
Question on the sports. So you said multi-sports. What sports do you specialize in, or does it matter?
We primarily have mostly hockey athletes and as well as lacrosse. So there's a prep lacrosse team, all ages.
Do you do volleyball? Like if you have, you break it up into buckets.
We have some other athletes. We have a track athlete or two. We have baseball in the past. We have some soccer players, but primarily hockey in terms of specific sport time on the ice. Like they'll get ice time here or they'll get field time with the lacrosse program. Other athletes that say run track or if they're soccer, baseball tend to do their specific sport not within the school day.
Okay.
The program will support the strength conditioning and academics of those athletes that require accommodation for their sport, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So like a typical day would be, we're in exam period right now for high school, so they're not on the ice this week.
Yeah.
But a typical week, if it's not an exam week, would be an 8:30 beginning to a school day. So it's all embedded within the school. We're lucky enough to be in an arena, for a 4-pad complex. It doesn't necessarily look like a school on the outside, but for people that are involved in athletics, walking into an arena and having people here that see that also as an opportunity to educate is not commonplace. So regardless, 8:30 is the first time that's an athletics period for high school. So they're going on the ice from 8:30 through to an hour till 9:40. 9:40, there's a transition. The pads get flooded and then elementary goes onto the ice. So elementary kids will start the day with a learning period, an academic period, classroom period, and then they'll swap out. And then at certain points in the day, our high schools will have their regular classes, a lunch break, obviously, and one period with us in the gym here. Again, from our end, it's not to put them under a bar or under load or train them like bodybuilders. It's to exemplify what a holistic approach to development is with age and stage, training age, biological age, sport, injury, non-injury, these types of things. So management of schedule, self-advocacy within the space.
Just to clarify, you separate the young kids by age groups? So the high schoolers together and the elementary together?
It's cohorted, exactly. So they'll come by grade to see us. So we'll have our grade 9s together. We'll have our grade 10s together. Our grade 11s and 12s are mixed together. And then our elementary kids come by their grade. The only difference, I guess, would be with our prep teams. They train as a unit, as a team. So our hockey prep team will train all together in the gym. They're on the same team. They play for Everest. We have lots of dialogue with their coaches. And then lacrosse would be the same. They'll train as a group. They're grade 9s, grade 10s, grade 11s, 12s, PGs on the lacrosse team, but they'll train in a team environment.
And what constitutes a prep team player?
So specific to hockey, you have to be carded with you can only be carded with one team. So nobody on our prep hockey team can play anywhere else. They can't play in the GTHL. They can't play OMHA. They can't do any of these things. They're playing specifically for Everest Prep. And we'll go out, we'll play tournaments against GTHL teams. We've been to Ottawa, Sudbury, Detroit, Peterborough, an exhibition schedule this year that may be progressing to a league schedule next year. That's on the hockey side. Lacrosse, they can play outside of Everest, but they're typically playing box lacrosse outside of Everest, and they're playing field lacrosse for Everest during the season, competing for Everest during the season. Both are typically recruited, just like any sort of school team that's on, I guess we call it like
a tryout, yeah,
like a tryout type thing. Most of the kids are known by our coaches already, who are well versed in lacrosse in that world, and then our hockey side very well versed here in terms of who they know, what they know, kids that they know from in and around GTHL, Ontario, across wherever they need to know people from. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll play the Hill Academy and kind of those who also have a prep team.
Correct.
Alike, and those kids can't play anywhere else.
Something that's been great with the prep hockey sort of, I wouldn't call it experiment because it's our first year, but we're learning all these wonderful benefits of it, is whereas a lot of our high school kids and our elementary kids will come to school all day, they've already had ice time, they've already had a movement session on top of academics. They're then rushing out to their external team hockey practice or dry land training or other specialists that they see in the field trying to fit in manual therapy. Same with the high schoolers. But a lot of these high schoolers are like, yeah, we don't get on the ice till 9:30 at night. It's just a really tough day to then be on the ice till 9:30 and start again. So with this prep model has been really interesting, is that they get their academics done, they get their training done, and they get their ice time done all within the school day. And then they get to go home and do their homework and be a kid and have a social life. And the response and the feedback from parents has been, yes, it's really wonderful. We've got time to do the things that we want to do. It's not something that I thought we expected building this program and what we were trying to accomplish, which was give each of these athletes the individual support that they need, whether they're working on speed or putting on mass or putting on all the other things that you guys are working on. These other benefits that are really influential and meaningful in the development of a kid. So
the model is brand new this year. The prep
hockey model is a new team this year,
and it's only boys.
Yeah, currently it's a U18 program, and I think I'm sort of listening to us speak, and it's drastically different than I guess when we grew up playing sports. The landscape of amateur sport and hockey at that age group is going to affect how hockey is done and played in Ontario and in the GTHL and around, I think. And so shifting that model to a model of development at U18 where you're not running all over the city or multiple areas around the city for games, talking with parents, like they've gotten their life back too, because our kids aren't old enough to drive yet on their own. They're driving kids everywhere, finding carpools, these types of things. And here with the prep model, they're on the ice at 8:30. They're with us in the gym at 10. They go eat. They're getting guidance on when to supplement or how to supplement their diet with all that activity in the morning. They're going to lunch. They're going to class in the afternoon. They're done. And we have kids with part-time jobs. We have kids that are, they're able to have a life as a kid. And I think at the center of it, that's our biggest win when we take away all of the serious conversation as to what development is and what, are we training every kid to get to the NHL, or are we trying to train development with longevity and skill sets that are going to last a lifetime beyond sport? Because we understand that sport ends and life continues. So if the disappointment of sport ending is the end of the human, that's a problem. So how are we setting up successful human beings for the long run through the messaging and lens of development within a gym space, within sport? I don't know. That's a shift probably away from...
No, well, and even those that do go on play high level NHL, like they're not retiring when they're 30. Can they retire a little bit longer because their bodies are lasting a little bit longer? And the inevitability of at some point retirement happens. They know themselves as a human as well. And I think that's the part we take really seriously and maybe has not been given as much credit as it's worth. But
yeah, no, I think it's a great model. When both girls were going through the system, but we were finding out that they're going to school, right? And then they have their team practice and their games and all that. And then everybody's doing extras, doing shooting or skating or what development or skills. Sounds like this is the one-stop shop for parents who just want to have the multi-rounded athlete get what they need to get and then have a life as a kid after hours.
Yeah, 100%. And then those are the resources that we hope that we're offering and that we are intentionally offering. What we haven't figured out yet is the FOMO piece. So yes, all these are available here, and yes, we're getting all those bases covered here. But if your child's on a team that everyone else is doing, shooting after and everyone else is doing this and all other things that these teams either obligate and it's a requirement, or you feel like if you're not doing it, you're not doing enough. And so this is the message we're struggling with is, you've already done your lift and you've already done your energy systems training here. You've got that check mark for the day, like to go out and do it again.
You don't need to do extras,
you don't
right?
need to, but then there's still that, is it anxiety? Is it the rat race? Is it I feel like I still have to have my kid do this because that's what the team is doing. So
it's
more education, more patience with education, more trying to make connections with parents and the community, like, conversations like this one exactly. And because at the end of the day, who suffers? It's the kid who's done three sessions and then has a session at 9:30 at night and isn't getting sleep, right?
Yeah.
This is
in the models. I mean, every kid is different, and you'll probably hear that repetitive for episodes is we're trying to provide the information to parents to saying this might not be the model for every child, but it might be the model for one, and therefore we want to help whoever that one is out there, or two or three or whatever, to know that this is available and out there. So what is your selection or application criteria to get into Everest and the prep team?
Yeah, these are good questions. So, I mean, like from the academic side, it would be an application process, showing interest, coming through one of our, we have multiple experience days throughout the year where our academic side, our guidance side, and then ourselves, and then our sports side, kids can come in a group, high school or elementary, experience the day, and then have those discussions as to, what is the academic requirements to get in, academic requirements that need to be met while they're here, and what programming is offered. So if we get kids that come through our space in the summer, for example, when it's off season and it's not the school year, we'll direct them to, absolutely, you're here, go get some information and see if this is fit for you academically. Yeah,
I mean, you go to the website and you can click on admissions, and there's a link that sends you to a form that you share some information. Then someone calls you and sets that up. We have, as James said, the experience days, and then we also have students who come and like they shadow a student for the day, so they get to live a day in the life of. And so we see them come through and they get to try the ice session, they get to try the afternoon session, they get to try the academics and just get to know the staff. And it's another way to get a taste of it and to see if it's, the right fit for your child.
Is there a window of application? Like, do you cut off by March, you have to submit your application, or April, or whenever that date is? Or is it fluid?
A good question.
As far as the prep team goes, that would be a direct contact to our prep team and reaching out. That would be hockey specific. So that would be through Daniel Siska. He's our general manager for the U18 hockey prep team. And I mean, the conversation's relatively the same. Obviously, there's rules around who can skate during what time because they're with that association. And this has all become very professionalized in an amateur space. Not to mention the NIL with the NCAA and how that's just changing the landscape of just kids bouncing everywhere that they're going to get what they think is their best situation, which is a whole nother discussion. But so that would be not an application process, but certainly a conversation with our hockey specific people on the prep side to come and skate with the team, talk with the coaches,
get the experience.
Yeah, get the experience, those types of things. But again, like the prep model is a prep model that right now is currently a roster of 20 athletes. The high school model is we're slowly trying to chip away at all of the things that are experienced in those other leagues that your daughters went through, that, these kids are going through in the GTHL, that, amateur sport has become a business. Amateur sport has become a place where people make money now, where people have full-time salaries to coach 14 and 15-year-olds, which is, I don't want to say everybody, but there are areas in the space where more is better. And our MO in this space is like better is better. Like you need to be advocating for the right things, and doing more isn't always the best. Like when it comes to specialists and these types of things, everybody wants to do their best for their kids. I think for the majority of parents out there or caregivers out there, I don't know. I read a really interesting article last night, and I just pulled it up on my phone here because there's some interesting statistics where it's like, why are we putting our kids in sports? He's a former first-round draft pick in Major League Baseball. And like his thing is it's not about wins and losses. It's not about getting to pro sport. It's about unique experiences, learning how to fail, learning how to win, learning how to be a good teammate, learning how to like continue to have fun. And it's about choice. Play multiple sports. Not from he didn't even come at it from like a science of injury or best athlete standpoint. It was more of like play multiple sports so that you can get different experiences and you can navigate, that you, the child, can navigate what you like the most. And that's the best dictator of how far you're going to go. If they enjoy it, there's a path to continue it for a long time, whether that's professionally or recreationally or whatever it might be. So like we need to have a reality check a little bit within that space. But again, not to say I've made my living in professional sport. I've now worked my way up to youth sport, And I think like being able to impact here through the lens of strength and conditioning, good information, education on, a values-based approach where it's about understanding your body and understanding yourself more than it's about the workout that we put on the board. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do something with consistency or you don't understand the value proposition of what you're doing, you're not going to grow in that space, and therefore you're not going to develop. So it's not about our way or the highway. It's about what is the value that you're taking away at the end of the day. And I think some of the messaging, with our across the board, we were speaking this morning about we have a reflection, let's call it an assignment, but like an end of term reflection from our high school kids. And, what did you learn? What challenged you? And some of the things that are coming back is like, I didn't know what I was getting into, but at the end of the day, I understand it's not really about wearing the right uniform or having my shoes every day, although that's part of it. That lesson is I need to be consistent. I need to show up on time. I need to be respectful in the space in order to earn that with my peers as well as with, everybody in the room. So little things, little takeaways like that are lessons that I think get sort of thrown by the wayside. And it's more like, well, how much weight's on the squat bar? And that's not really relevant in our space. We're teaching you how to move, how to understand, different principles of movement and all of that. It matters in the end from a performance standpoint if we're going to look at development and performance in that same scope. But anyway, so just from a takeaway standpoint, there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things in amateur sport that's really, really high quality, but it's also now a bit about, keeping up with the Joneses. And if they're doing more, then I should do more, and then this and that. But at the end of the day, if we're not checking in with our kids saying, do you still love this? Do you still enjoy this? Stacking more on their plate causes a lot of anxiousness in our population and a lot of resentment towards the sport, to be quite honest, is what we've felt with a small percentage of the students.
I know my younger one went, she did Holly Crest from 4 to 8. And then for high school, she wanted to go regular high school. So the model is not the same for everybody. And it's not that you're missing out. It's not the FOMO, but it's more about that integration actions with other students alike and kind of having a life. So this is very insightful in the balanced mindset of making sure that they're well-rounded athletes, but they're not limited to just that. There's kind of life outside of just coming to school and giving other opportunities for them to play other sports. How many students per teacher? Do you know the ratio?
Academically, I want to say it's capped at 20 to 1.
Our space, it fluctuates based on the time of day. Sometimes there's 4 of us on the floor with a team of 20. And sometimes there's 2 of us on the floor for a class of 30, but we'll divide those into smaller groups. Obviously, our space than a classroom. Our need is to be present and observational in everything that we're doing because A, risk of injury, B, precision of movement is a thing that directly influences quality of movement, which therefore directly affects output. So in our space, it's A, and if not, smaller ratio than that. But certainly while we're going through educational components or directives or demos, there's more eyes on our students as we're at the beginning of a program versus once they understand the movement, they understand how to be safe in the space, they understand how to be around each other.
It's a hard number to pull because it depends on the task too. Like if we're working, vision training with some athletes, we'll pull a small group to the side. If we're doing energy systems and it's more of like an endurance running or a group or a speed, we have bigger groups. Because we can all flex in different roles, we can sort of adjust on the fly, which is more fun, kind of fun. Shake it up for everybody.
How many students do you have at Everest?
Yeah, I think we're right just south of 200. Yeah, 199 or 196 to 190. I don't know. I think somewhere in there. It's 190 something. So just south of 200.
Good number. So if I were a parent and I'm looking at different options, we have the public system. We have the specialized kind of the Holly Crests and still with the public, but giving you some options. There's private, and then there is the academies. What are some of the benefits? What distinguishes you from everybody else?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a great question. I'll just put my neck out on the line with that to start, and then you guys can jump in. But I put this staff up against any staff across the country in terms of quality of care and the combination of experience, which holds so much weight and so much water in this space. A guy like this who's played professionally knows what it takes to do that. If that's your MO, this is somebody you can connect with right away. Vision, ocular training, vestibular stuff, all of these things, Julie will undermine or downplay her experience and her expertise, but we have athletes outside of here being sent to see her. Matt, the same thing, the mindfulness piece, like this area of Everest Academy, I think is a differentiator for performance and for development. So we can go either way in terms of like development as the whole. Absolutely, that's the basis, but certainly in terms of high level performers, we're going to push OHL kids out of here. We're going to push kids through here to go to Division 1. That's going to continue to happen through here. So how we support them using the level of expertise and the level of experience that we have as a staff. And that didn't even mention Deb, who's a social worker who's worked with a number of athletes, whether that's the kid that does feel anxious about their schedule or is completely overwhelmed or is doing really, really well and just needs to sort of like refine a few different things in terms of their mental preparation for games.
Yeah, and you won't speak to your own experience, but this guy's worked in literally every pro league. Baseball, soccer,
minus the
football,
basketball.
Maybe just not the NBA yet, we'll say. But like the experience that you get from that and you seeing what it takes to go there and how to communicate with all the professionals in that space and what athletes are provided. And yet now he's living in this space because, I don't know, you've said this, but you won't say it out loud. Like he has more fulfillment from helping the youth get to where they can because he's seen where you go to and he's seen what doesn't work to get to that level and have limited range of motion because you've only done one thing your whole life and to have no value of self outside of I'm only a baseball player, but I'm not a human that can offer anything. Like, so to come from the highest level at almost every sport in the, continent to then bringing it all to this space to be a huge resource just to athletes and not even speaking to the rehab side of things. So the other piece I think that we try to do, and this is James' sort of magic, is like, okay, I have a broken arm. My cast comes off and everyone's like, okay, let's just throw this kid back on the ice. Well, what else can we do either while the arm is broken to maximize time and benefit in the space? And then the cast comes off and, okay, it's not ready to just jump back onto the ice. What are all the pieces that we need to fill into that space? And so the rehab support on the side of rehab, like injuries are part of sport. And if we just, pause sport while we're injured, we're not offering everything we can. So to filling in those spaces and just the ability to see from point A to point B really thoroughly and comprehensively is an asset that he won't speak to, but offers in spades. So
it really sounds like each one of you are the pieces of the puzzle that complement each other to provide the best options for the student in terms of the mental health, the rehabilitation, the development, the growth and path and so forth. That's great. Impressive.
And we like working together, which is like kind of the fun part. We like most days.
So far, so good, right?
That's why we have so many.
Yeah, and I also think like it's important maybe to just sort of highlight for parents as well in this space. It's like there are no egos within this space. If I don't know something, I'm going to refer to Julie. If Julie and I can't come to terms with it in terms of like a therapeutic lens, Rob and Matt will contribute from a strength side and Deb will contribute from the mental health side. Like we have also, a network that we can refer out to with specialists, physicians, these types of things from the experience that we've had from being old in the area and just like being older and having just met people along the way, where you have connections and these types of things. But also at the same time, we kind of like we're behind a wall in our clinic right now. And then the gym's on the other side is like, if we want our athletes to understand that like this wall shouldn't even be here. When you're hurt, that doesn't mean that you're not an athlete, not a human being, don't exist. You're not part of something. So like knocking down the proverbial wall between therapy and strength, like our with broken collarbones and broken wrists, and a kid with a whatever hand tendon injury, whatever might be happening currently, like they're still on the gym floor. We're modifying things. We're teaching them to be resourceful. They're learning how to do things while they're hurt. Like these are really key lessons that, again, as Julie highlighted, and in comparison to a non-academy school or somebody that doesn't have at least the quality of staff that we have, is if I go to see a doctor and the doctor says, okay, you're hurt, don't go back for 2 weeks. Most parents hear, okay, don't go back for 2 weeks, but 2 weeks from now, you're back and you're ready to go. And that 2 weeks in between is where you make a massive difference and a massive impact in terms of the transition. So, Rob will take a young kid or a high school kid out on the ice to build up their capacity to be on the ice while they're recovering from a broken wrist. Like there's lots we can do. We can protect you in certain ways. We can build that back in. And so from a resource standpoint here on the hockey side, and then obviously like field and anything running based, we have practitioners that are interchangeable. We have people where just because I wear a hat as a therapist doesn't mean I can't say, hey, Rob, can you take this athlete and have them understand their therapeutic movement that's going to help them transition back. I don't know. I think there's no ego in the room with us. We're all just trying to serve best purpose. And that's like we started, like the youth at the center of the room. without them, we don't have jobs. But also at the same time, we need to take the human being that's underneath the jersey needs to be more important than the jersey. So they can't just be an athlete. We can't just speak to the sport that they play. We need to continue to find different ways. And there's different ways to connect with different kids. And there's different ways to connect with coaches and the environment that these kids are coming from outside of here.
Yeah, and you have a great support network. How does the school ensure that students don't feel overwhelmed balancing academics and sports?
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't get to cross paths with the academic stuff as much, but we have an amazing team of academic support here. Great resources and then guidance. One of our science teachers, like, he's got a robotics program going, and we love kind of just sort of.
I saw that on the Instagram site. Yeah, that was cool.
So our staff, a wonderful academic support, and they have a study hall. Any student that needs extra help or support, they do get a lot of one-on-one because there are lower ratios.
Yeah, I mean, we have Friday mornings there's no ice, there's no athletics block, no ice, no lacrosse. So that's a window where, in lieu of the athletics, that's a period where, so long as it works with the schedule and it works with everybody's schedule, that's a study hall period. That's a catch-up period. That's a period scheduled for making adjustments where all the teachers are available to individualize or whatever we need to do, tutor, mentor, whatever might be needed.
The other thing too is most of our staff, I think, and the draw for working here is they either all pro athletes or former athletes themselves, and they get it. Like, they get what it's like to have the athletics block and the athletics outside of school and that 11 o'clock, practice at night. They get it. So that's not like a lot of students I hear say, my old school, I used to get burned or no support. The teachers just didn't care. These guys couldn't care more. Like, they get it and they're willing to help and they're willing to work around all these other expectations that the students have. So, I mean, we love our team within these walls, but outside of here, equal support and academics and understanding from the rest of our team.
You've lived it with two daughters playing hockey, right? And I don't know, like, here we have Fridays are pretty thin in attendance through the winter. There's tournaments to take precedence where sometimes, kids are going to be gone from Tuesday to Saturday for the Silver Stick tournament or whatever might happen. And
the flexibility, right? There's tons of flexibility and support. I mean, I found that through both journeys, and even now they get all the support they need when they need it, right? Yeah. Being away Thursday, Friday, you're going off to a tournament and whatnot. So I'm assuming it's similar to there. And then in terms of, so you said Debbie covers off the students when they're feeling the stress, the pressure, the balancing their mental health. Is she the one who's helping them, or are you all part of the, I would say, support network for them?
Everybody here, for sure.
I think I'll just speak on that. I think everybody's contributes to that because everybody connects different with different kids. So, like, some people will reach out, come to you and say, "Hey, coach, can you talk with me for a second?" Like, maybe they won't go to James, but maybe they may feel more comfortable with me. So I think in that aspect, like, we all help differently.
Yeah. And Debbie will do full, like, lecture scenarios or health classes talking about mental health strategies, self-awareness, a lot of, we called it like a brain IQ, understanding how different brains learn differently and the types of supports that are needed if this type of thinker is feeling this way, or if this type of thinker is needing to learn this type of task. And she's also available for one-on-one sessions as well. So some of our students who are working through personal issues or parents have connected and said, "Hey, I'm seeing this at home. Is there anything we can do?" So she's available for one-on-one sessions as well, whether it's part of an S&C athletic performance or whether it's more personal, unrelated to sport and mental health side of things as well. So we this is not really our scope in terms of, like, mental counseling. So to have someone like that is such a wonderful resource as well.
For sure. Closing it down, do you provide transportation?
Yep.
Transportation, meals, all of this. Again, like, through the website, we can speak to specifics. But we got kids from all over Ontario. I mean, Southern Ontario, I guess. Kids as far as Burlington, kids as far as, like, Barrie, Clarington coming in. There's different bus stops that'll pick up and van stops that will pick up groups of kids at
Burlington, Oakville, Whitby, downtown Toronto, Barrie.
Okay.
There's also, like, a lot of our lacrosse players are in a billet program. So say they live 2-3 hours away, they several of them live with billet families. So that's another option as well.
Okay. And then is it just field lacrosse or is it field and box?
So it's field lacrosse here. This is where their prep model is exposing to Division I schools and opportunities competing down in the States in their playing season.
My last question is, any success stories that you can share?
Lots of success stories. I think the greatest success is when the kids come back to see us and let us know, like, "Hey, I may not have been that kid at the time in the gym, but I'm using what was provided here now, and it's helping me, and I'm showing other people. So, I mean, hang your hat on success in terms of a team. We have a ton of kids that have committed to Division I schools. One of our athletes here currently just finished winning World Championship on the U18 women's program in hockey. Just spent the weekend in a tournament in Peterborough with our prep team, and 3 or 4 kids that have been through here are playing in the OHL game that we went to and every OHL rink that we go to, and lots across the board.
We're really proud of whether they make it at a high level that people recognize or whether they just turn into really great humans when they walk out the door. We also have the opportunity in the summer with our off-season training to see some of them come back and NHL athletes and just train in the space and work side by side some of our high school athletes who come here to train in the summer, and just sort of that mentor role and seeing all the pieces connect at the highest levels to where they started and sort of bridging
where they are today.
Yeah.
On that note, so do you provide summer training?
Yeah, so summer training is external to Everest Academy. It's not through Everest Academy, but in our facility here with our people. And then one of our external connections, our external colleagues comes in and oversees everything from a development standpoint. It's Dan Noble, who's part of Upper Canada College's hockey program during the year. He's created a great programming and a great environment for high-level hockey players in the summer. So there's a nice group of NHL athletes, PWHL athletes, Hockey Canada, NCAA, OHL, and right sort of down to where we are here in sort of the youth level.
Amazing. Anything else you'd like to tell our audience that we haven't covered?
Oh no, we talked a lot. Thank you. Thank you for
very insightful. I think parents will appreciate knowing more, and you might get an influx of questions and kind of reach out, but I think that's the purpose, is making sure that we provide as much information to parents and let them make decisions on their kids' journey. But at least now they know a little bit more than what they didn't know yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's great. We all appreciate the opportunity to sort of speak to what we're doing here and how we're doing things. And I guess the last little bit with parents would be just, have conversations with people and ensure you're getting what you think you're getting, because there's a lot promised out there and a lot of under delivery. And again, I would put this staff that we work with on a daily basis up against anybody else, not in a competitive market, but for level of care, level of experience, and then, level of application in terms of, evidence informed practices in what we're doing. We're not running kids into the ground for the sake of running kids in the ground. We don't believe in movement or exercise as punishment. We believe in it as a learning tool. So you played poorly last night. Great. Like I wake up 60% of my days and probably could call it not a great day yesterday, but what am I doing today to help myself? Or what am I doing today to make it a little bit better? So those lessons and those things we hope to continue to inform as bigger lessons than how much do you have on the bar. Not downplaying strength and quality of movement or anything, but at the end of the day,
that part's easy. We can stack weight. No problem if we've got the foundations first, and whether that's social, emotional, or physical foundations, those are all.
Yeah, that's the piece. That's the takeaway, I think, is there's, in our world, there's a really long runway to develop strength, but everybody thinks they have to do it now. They have to do what NHL players are doing now at 10 or 11 or 12. They have a day off from doing activity because they have a game at 8:30 at night. The reality from a physiological standpoint is we have a really long runway to develop strength. We have a relatively short window to develop a relationship with movement and a relationship with understanding that movement, to call it athleticism. So we develop that early, and then we can build strength off of that. We can't do it the other way around. Hammer strength, patterns of movement that are potentially detrimental and repetitive. So that's kind of our long-winded one more piece, and I could probably go on for another 3 hours, but we'll save it for another.
It sounds like you have a really good family support network here for the students, and that's the importance.
We're trying.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. We'll have all the details and links in the show notes. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can email us at sporticanada@gmail.com. That's sporticanada@gmail.com. And you can follow us on Instagram at the SPORTi Podcast. Until then, keep smiling and support your kids in their sport.
Thanks again for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this community. Check us out online, firststartherapy.com. That's FIRSTAR therapy.com. Or email us with feedback, consult@firststartherapy.com. CONSULT@firststartherapy.com. On Instagram @firststar.therapy, and our podcast host @letschat.at. This is First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast.